Hi, Tembelisha, we can't hear you.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining the session. I am Timbelise, part of the wellness team at SA Youth at Work. So, welcome to yet another exciting edition of the Think Tank Thursday. It's always a pleasure to gather in this space where we challenge perspectives, we learn from one another, and we spark meaningful conversations. So before we dive in, we're gonna start with a quick 5 minutes introduction to set the stage for today's discussion. This is gonna give everyone a chance to get comfortable and get a sense of what's in store. So while we are waiting for others to join the session, you can go to the chat box and introduce yourself. You can just write your name and surname and the name of your host site. Okay. We have Lisijo Juarez from Homework Center. Welcome, Lisijo. Thank you for joining the session. We have Xolisile Nkosi from Mulele Attorneys. Thank you for joining, Xolisile. Welcome to the session. We have Sibabalwe Pala from Kuala Closures, South Africa. Thank you for joining the session. You're welcome. We have Lindani Lutuli. Thank you for joining the session, Lindani. You are welcome. Then we have Sipose Tumnai from Durban Overflow. Thank you for joining the session. You are most welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. Tinolo Khobane from Imperial Interiors. Thank you for joining the session. You're welcome. And then we have Kekeletso Kowadi from Boundless Consulting. Yes, thank you for joining the session, Kekeletso. You're welcome. We have Zikanye from George Bosa. Thank you for joining the session, Zikanye. You're most welcome. Then we have Ntokozo Stole from Youth at Work. Thank you for being part of the session, Ntokozo. You are welcome. So, in today's session, we will be speaking about managing personal finances. So managing personal finances can be a very challenging thing, especially when unexpected expensive pops up. Then we have earned salary excess, which is ESA in short, that is here to change the game. It gives employees the ability to access a portion of their already earned salary before the payday without resorting to high interest loans or credits. Today on this session, we are honored to have Rinaldo Moja, who is an operations and sales manager at PayCurve. Ronaldo will take us through what ancillary access is and how it works, the benefits that it offers for both employees and businesses, how financial flexibility can reduce stress and improve productivity. What you should expect on this session is an insightful presentation from Ronaldo, a chance to ask questions and engage in discussion, practical takeaways to rethink financial wellness in the workplace. So get comfortable, engage, and let's dive into this conversation on financial empowerment. Ronaldo, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that great introduction. I really appreciate it. Hi to everyone in the chat and everyone online. Thank you so much for the time and this opportunity to really discuss a brand new industry in this country. And by brand new, the earned wage access industry has been around for about 5 years in the country. And it really is the fastest growing employee benefit that we are seeing across the industries, and I'll share some insights, and I'll share all the industries that this benefit has really just exploded, and why this truly is. Why is earned wage access the future of pay in this country, and not just in this country, but globally? So really excited for this session, and I won't be able to answer all the questions in the chat. So see if we can leave the questions for the end, and then I'll be answering all of them. But again, thank you so much for this opportunity. So allow me to share my screen and then let us jump into it. Okay, fantastic. So introducing PayCurve. So as mentioned, PayCurve is a company that specializes in something called earned wage access, but earned wage access is just simply one of the various modules that we offer, and I'll take you through each and every single module. PayCurve was established about 5 years ago. We are the leading earned wage access organization in Africa. We service close to 150,000 employees currently, and that's made up of about 150 different corporate clients across Africa in diverse industries. But we didn't just come up with earned wage access. It's not a concept that myself and my co-founders just came up with one day. It's actually an industry that's been around for the past 10 to 20 years. Globally. So it comes out of the United States, out of the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. And the differences in those countries are we can't just take earned wage access and drop it in South Africa and expect it to work. The South African employee and the consumer are very different. Hence, we took earned wage access out of the United States, brought it to South Africa, but changed the way in which we actually adopted it to make it very sustainable and responsible, understanding the South African consumer. But before we jump into exactly what is earned wage access and how does it work, we need to first understand what is happening in South Africa on the ground, and why is a solution like earned wage access needed within the country. So what is the consumer financial crisis currently, and what is happening in South Africa? And some of these stats are quite frightening, but it actually shows why a solution such as earned wage access and PayCurve is needed within the country. So 80% of middle income earners in this country are using 80% of their salary within the first 5 days of actually receiving it. Now, middle income earners are employees earning 500,000 Rand and less within a year, which is quite a significant salary. And they're using 80% of that salary in the first 5 days, meaning that for the rest of the month, the rest of the 25 days in the month, they only have 20% of their salary to navigate the rest of the pay cycle. And you can see what, and I'll show you what problem that actually causes. Close to 40% of employees experience mid-month emergencies. You might have a child, and your child might get sick throughout the course of the month, but it's something that you didn't budget for at the beginning of the month. So it's a mid-month emergency that now you need money to actually spend on. And then close to 80% of South Africans are unfortunately reliant on forms of short-term credit. And we can see that because if you're using 80% of your salary in the first 5 days, unfortunately, many South Africans, 80%, need access to credit to just get through to the end of the month. Now, the short-term credit market in South Africa, to understand, is made up of two different segments. We've got regulated providers and unregulated providers. So regulated providers are the banks, such as the Absas and the Nedbanks, and the unregulated side are the loan sharks and the mashonisas. Now, this might surprise you, but there's actually more loan sharks in this country than regulated providers. So there's over 40,000 loan sharks currently and just over 6,500 banks in this country. To make this practical, about 55% of the short-term credit industry in this country is serviced by the loan shark. So the loan shark market, the unregulated market, is actually bigger than the banking market in this country when it comes to servicing short-term credit. Now, both of these options are credit, meaning it's money that you're borrowing. And also, both these options are extremely expensive. If you find yourself at a bank and you need 1,000 Rand loan, you're going to be paying just over 300 Rand in fees. Now, when you go to the bank, they say, yes, we'll give you 1,000 Rand and the interest rate is going to be this. And you think, oh, but the interest rate looks fine. It's quite cheap. But the problem is the hidden fees attached with taking on credit. There's an initiation fee. There's a credit life insurance fee. There's an ongoing monthly admin cost. And all these fees then start to add up that you were unaware of. And then we know that the average loan shark interest rate currently stands at about 75%. I've seen some instances of 100% interest on some loan shark. And obviously, we know that there's not just the fees that you have to pay back, there's the threat of violence, they might take your passport and your ID. So both these options are currently what is in South Africa, should you find yourself mid-month and actually need liquidity, need money for groceries or need money for transport. But again, both of these options are credit, which you're borrowing the money and they are extremely expensive. Now, we hear this perpetuation of a cycle. Perpetuation of a cycle means that if I borrow the 1 month, I'm going to have to borrow the next month and the month after and the month after. So that's the cycle that carries on. But there's a bit of a change in mindset when thinking about it. Now, the reason why employees actually are having to borrow each and every single month are because of these extremely high fees. To use an example, if you need to take on R1,000 loan from a loan shark and the fee is going to be on average 750 Rand, the next month you're going to have to borrow again from that loan shark just to repay that 750 Rand that you previously had in fees. And so the employee needs to each and every single month borrow money from the loan shark just to pay back the previous month's fees, hence getting into this cycle, unfortunately. Now, Ernst & Young, a very reputable company within South Africa and globally, they released a research report on the earned wage access industry to come up with and to identify what are the root causes to employees struggling financially. Now, the three root causes they found were emergency events, limited savings, and these timing mismatches between income and expenses. Now, we've spoken about emergency events, limited savings. We know not every South African is fortunate enough to be able to earn in excess of their expenses and then have the ability to save. And then there's this mismatch between when an employee actually receives their salary and when an employee has those expenses throughout the course of the month, these mismatches between the income and expenses. Now, we did a bit of a study as to what are the outflows of cash for South Africans. So we've got a mid to high income earner. Mid to high income earners, they have a car that they need to maybe fill up with petrol or diesel once a week, so 4 times in the month. Now, these cash outflows, I'm talking about large cash outflows. So you fill up your car about 4 times during the month. Mid to high income earners usually have a deep freeze or 1 or 2 fridges, and they'll do grocery shopping maybe once or about 1.2 times a week. So on average, about 6 grocery shops for the month. Airtime and data, mostly contract driven. So it goes in line with our debit orders at the beginning of the month. So no need to purchase airtime and data throughout the course of the month. So in total, a mid to high income earner has about 10 different cash outflows throughout the course of the month that they need to budget for. Now, looking at a mid to low income earner, mid to low income earner unfortunately does not have their own car. So they need to make use of the South African transport system, so taxi services. Now, taking into account 1 taxi to work and 1 taxi back from work, that's about 44 different cash outflows for that employee. Groceries might not have a deep freeze, might not have 2 fridges, might just have a small fridge. So more frequent grocery shops, on average about 22 different grocery shops throughout the course of the month. Airtime and data, also these mid-month purchases of data and airtime. So on average, again, 22 expenses for data and airtime. So in total, we're looking at a mid to low income earner that has about 88 different cash outflows throughout the course of the month. So what we're doing as South Africans, and the problem that we have in this country, is we're expecting a mid to low income earner to navigate the same 30-day period 9 to 10 times more effectively than a mid to high income earner who has had the ability to learn how to budget and has had a bit more education on finances. And that's where this
Sorry, Ronaldo, you seem to, we can't hear you anymore.
Ronaldo, we can't hear you here in Cape Town.
Ronaldo.
Can't hear you.
I think Ronaldo's gone out and he's probably going to come back in now.
Hi guys, Ronaldo is probably experiencing a network issue, so can you please be patient just a couple of seconds? Ronaldo, we can't hear you anymore. Ronaldo. Ronaldo.
Unless someone has his phone number that could call him and inform him.
We are currently trying to call him. Hi everyone. Sorry about that. We are trying to get hold of Ronaldo. So can we please have 2 minutes of your time?
Okay. Yes. Could we please have the register while we wait for Ronaldo so we can fill it in?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, we can you speak again? We can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. I don't know what happened there. Apologies for that. Perfect. So let's get back to the contractual commitments. So we pick up in the employee's contractual commitments directly from the credit bureau because we want to obviously make sure that we can.
Ronaldo, you lost us way before this. I think you need to go back now.
Back over here.
Yeah. Before that,
Sure.
earn wage.
You lost us by the consumer financial crisis. There you go.
Yes. That's yeah.
Sorry about that. Not sure what happened. I just kept on getting muted and unmuted. Okay. So I'll try to speed this up for time's sake. So apologies for that. So firstly, before understanding why a solution such as PayCurve, what is PayCurve the solution? We need to understand why a solution like PayCurve exists. So these stats are taken in conjunction with our base as well as a study done by FNB. So middle income earners in South Africa, 80% of them are using 80% of their salary within the first 5 days of actually receiving it. So middle income earners of 500,000 Rand and less. So quite a substantial salary. But again, 80% of them are using 80% of their salary within the first 5 days. Close to 40% experience mid-month emergency expenses. That could be, your daughter might be sick and you need money for a doctor. So it's something that's unbudgeted, an emergency during the course of the month that you now need liquidity for. And then close to 80% of South Africans are reliant on forms of short-term credit. Now, it makes sense that 80% of South Africans need to make use of credit when you see that they're using 80% of their salary within the first 5 days of actually receiving it. Now, in South Africa, should you need mid-month liquidity, there's two current options. There's a regulated option and an unregulated option. Regulated providers being the banking system in this country, and unregulated being the loan sharks or the mashonisas. Now, this might surprise you, but the loan sharks actually service close to 55% of the short-term credit industry in this country, meaning they service a bigger portion of the population's credit services than the banks. As you can see, there's just over 40,000 loan sharks in this country and close to 6,500 regulated credit providers. Now, the problem with both of these are not just that it's credit that you are borrowing from someone, it's the high fees associated with these credit options. So if you take on 1,000 Rand at a bank, it's going to cost you just over 300 Rand. Now, yes, you might go to a bank and they might give you a fantastic interest rate, but the problem is there's these unseen costs, such as the admin fee, credit life insurance costs, sign-up fees. So there's lots of these fees that start to add up. And then if you find yourself at a loan shark, on average, we're seeing these days that the loan sharks are charging just over 75% interest. So extremely, extremely high. And again, there's a threat of violence. There's your ID being taken away, etc., etc. So it comes with a whole host of problems taking money from a loan shark. Now, we often ask this question, but employees are getting into the cycle of constant borrowing, and it makes sense because of the high fees that's actually associated with taking on credit. Because if I go to a loan shark, the 1 month and take on 1,000 Rand, my fee is going to be 750 Rand. The next month, that employee has to go again and borrow more money from that loan shark just to repay back those interest fees that they were previously charged. And hence, this employee each and every single month is needing to take on more credit. So Ernst & Young, quite a reputable company globally, they released a research report on what is causing employees to actually struggle financially. And there's 3 different pillars. Emergency events, we've covered it. Limited savings, we know that not every South African has the ability to save. And then there's also this income and expense timing gaps. We know that you don't just receive when you receive your salary on the 25th of a month, that's not the day where all your expenses effectively will occur. So there's this mismatch between when I have my salary and when my expenses go off during the course of the month. Now, we first have to understand what are these cash outflows of South Africans. So we did a bit of a study for the mid to high income earners and the mid to low income earners. So mid to high income earners, obviously employees earning 500,000 Rand and more per year. How many cash outflows do they have each and every single month on average? So transport, mid to high income earners have their own car, so they will be filling their car maybe once a week. So there's 4 large outflows. They have maybe a deep freeze or a large fridge, so they can do grocery shopping, just maybe once or twice a week. So on average, about 6 different grocery shops. Data and airtime, it's mostly contract driven. So it goes off in line with the month-end debit orders. So on average, about 10 large cash outflows for a mid to high income earner. Now, let's look at a mid to low income earner. Mid to low income earner makes use of the South African transport system because they don't have their own car. So on average, 1 taxi trip to work and 1 taxi trip back from work. So about 44 different cash outflows for those employees. Groceries might not have a deep freeze, so just have 1 fridge, so a lot more frequent grocery shopping. So on average, about 22 different grocery shops. Data and airtime is not contract driven. It's just ad hoc purchases of data and airtime. So on average, 22 purchases. So on average, about 88 cash outflows for a mid to low income earner. Now, what is the problem with this effectively? We are expecting a mid to low income earner who is not financially savvy or unfortunately just hasn't learned to budget and hasn't learned about money matters to effectively manage a cash flow cycle with the same 30-day period 8 to 10 times more effectively than a mid to high income earner. And that's where this gap starts to occur, unfortunately, within this country. So it's not all doom and gloom. There needs to be a solution to combat what you're seeing on the screen. And what we've seen is that solution is PayCurve. So what exactly is PayCurve? PayCurve is made up of 4 different pillars. So, and I'll go into each pillar a lot more in detail in the next coming slides. Pillar number 1 is something called earned wage access. Earned wage access is the ability for employees to access a portion of their salary that they earn each and every single day. And again, more detail to follow. Pillar number 2 is financial education and money management. So the ability for employees to educate themselves on our platform on money matters. Debt interventions for distressed employees. So we identify employees that are struggling financially and we get them the correct help. And then pillar number 4, savings, the ability for employees to save on our platform. And we've partnered with Alan Gray. And again, I'll explain this a bit more in detail. So earned wage access, what is it? We've spoken about credit. So the ability for you as employees or South Africans to borrow money in those 2 markets. But entering earned wage access is not a loan. It's not a form of credit. It's simply the ability for an employee to access a portion of their salary that they earn on a daily basis. So everyone on the call today is effectively at work today, and you're earning a portion of your salary that will get paid to you at the end of the month. But you need to work each and every single day. What earned wage access does is it looks back at how many days you've effectively worked, and it carves out a small portion of that salary that you've earned in those days and makes it available to you should you require it. And again, I'll explain this a little bit more in detail. So prior to us going live with any organization, so providing the service to any organization, we do an entire communication run to staff, and we explain what is this new benefit, and then we decide on a date to actually go live. Now, on this go live day, each and every single employee receives a link to register. So an SMS or an email and some WhatsApp groups we'll also make use of to then register their PayCurve account. Doesn't cost anything to register, very important. It's simply just the ability for you now to register your PayCurve account. As soon as you register your account, we do a bit of a calculation as to how much of your salary can we make available to you. So meet Sifiso. Sifiso will be our example in this one. Sifiso has clicked the link, he's registered his PayCurve account, and we now pick up from your payroll that Sifiso's net salary is 10,000 Rand. Now, the reason we start at net is you want to make sure that UIF and PAYE and any deductions the company has are taken off. Then we do an affordability assessment. Now you might think, but Ronaldo, if you're not offering me credit, and this is not a loan, but giving me access to my salary, why are you doing an affordability assessment? Now, the reason we do this is because we know that employees have certain month-end needs that need to be paid. So they might have a PEP clothing account, an unsecured loan, or a car finance. So there's a certain amount of money that an employee needs to pay off these contractual commitments. So we get this information directly from the credit bureau in South Africa. And very important, when we actually pull this information from the credit bureau, it won't affect an employee's credit score whatsoever because we aren't offering credit. We're simply doing a check, and this will never appear on any credit report. Very important. So we take this 2,000 Rand in this example, we simply ring fence it because we know that Sifiso needs this 2,000 Rand to pay off those contractual commitments. Then we're left with an employee with this disposable income amount of 8,000 Rand in this example. Now, in this 8,000 Rand, we're not picking up rent, medical, transport. So we can't just give an employee again access to this full 8,000 Rand. So what do? We provide the organization with two different options. Option number one is an access percentage, and option number two is simply a Rand value. Now, again, the organization, understanding their staff, will be able to decide on which option makes sense to them. Now, let's say the organization goes with option number one, which is 30%, which would mean that this employee would have access to a maximum of 2,400 Rand on the PayCurve platform. And I'll show you in the next slide how the employee registers their account, and that 2,400 Rand then starts to rebuild. So that's earned wage access. Pillar number two, the gamified education. So what we do is we actually lock away a portion of this 2,400 Rand in our educational vault. Now, the educational vault has 4 different pillars. You are able to pull your free credit report, answer survey questions, do your budget, or engage with our financial education. So we have 45 educational modules that rotate each and every single month, and it's 2 to 5 minute courses on those financial literacy nuggets. So what is budgeting? What are interest rates? How to manage my money better? Understanding money matters. So these short courses that employees can do to now unlock a further amount of their salary, but still by educating themselves. And you can see last year we had over 135,000 modules completed inside our Test Your Knowledge pillar. So really a fantastic way for employees to now educate themselves on our platform. So as mentioned, because earned wage access is not a salary advance and it's not a loan, we can't just give an employee access to that 2,400 Rand at the beginning of the month. So what will happen is the employee will click the link and register, and we'll do a bit of calculation. And for this employee, each day that Sifiso now goes to work is effectively earning 363 Rand. So every day at 5:30, our system runs earnings, and 363 Rand gets deposited into this employee's PayCurve wallet. We've taken into account that I work on the weekend here. Sifiso carries on going to work. So come this Tuesday now, Sifiso has worked enough days to access the full limit that the company have decided, which is that 30%, which is that 2,400 Rand. You can see each employee's accessible amount will be different according to the calculation in the previous slide. So he's now reached the 2,400 Rand. Even though he carries on going to work, his PayCurve balance does not grow. Now, come the Thursday, life happens. Sifiso needs 1,500 Rand for a medical emergency. Now, previously, he would have either gone to the employer possibly to ask for a salary advance, find himself maybe at a bank to take on a loan, or like 55% of the country, unfortunately, go to a loan shark to borrow that money. And we've spoken about the fees and the problems with going to a loan shark. But now, Sifiso simply has access to PayCurve. He has the ability to pay himself a portion of his own salary. So he simply logs into PayCurve. PayCurve is not an app that employees need to download. It's simply a website that you go to. It's available on any smartphone, any laptop, and for employees that don't have those, we also have USSD. So for those old Nokia 3310s, the ability to still access PayCurve using that *120 *618 hash. So the ability to still access PayCurve. Safiso selects 1,500 Rand, selects medical emergency, and selects withdraw. As soon as he selects withdraw, that 1,500 Rand is now paid into Safiso's salaried bank account. So what effectively happened is he now had an emergency, didn't want to borrow the money, and chose to pay himself now 1,500 Rand of his own salary. So he didn't have to borrow the money. He could actually now use his own salary and more effectively and flexibly when he needed it. Now, because he's already withdrawn 1,500 Rand, there's now 900 Rand left in his PayCurve wallet. If he doesn't use this 900 Rand, it won't roll over into the next month. The next month, the cycle will then restart again. So effectively, then what happens at the end of the month? At the end of the month, when Safiso would have usually received his 10,000 Rand net salary, now he's already paid himself 1,500 Rand of his own salary. So at the end of the month, you'll now get paid 8,500 Rand, so the remainder of his salary. So within 30 days, Safiso in this example is still receiving his 10,000 Rand salary, but he now had the ability to be more flexible with it, and hence he withdrew 1,500 Rand during the course of the month when he needed it most. Now, that's for a cash out option because he needed money for this medical emergency. We also have the ability for employees to access a portion of their salary to purchase data and airtime or Pick and Pay, macro vouchers, ShopRite vouchers, and even prepaid medical aid on our marketplace. So not just the ability to withdraw in cash, but also to purchase vouchers. So that's now earned wage access in the financial education. Now, let's talk about the debt interventions for distressed employees. When employees register for PayCurve, we build a scorecard around this employee using a couple bits of data points. So we pick up the secured debt, the unsecured debt, the credit score, and it allows us to now profile the employee into 3 separate categories: financially healthy, financially vulnerable, and financially distressed. Now, the reason we do this is we want to funnel the correct solution through to that employee. So a healthy employee needs a different set of solutions to an employee that is struggling financially, which is a distressed employee. So for a healthy employee, the main objective is to keep them healthy. So keep them away from debt and get them through to a savings. So all the modules are then available to that employee. For a vulnerable employee, the objective is obviously to improve their status. So instead of now getting them just to speak to a financial coach, we can put them on a financial program to actually get them out of the vulnerable phase. Now, a distressed employee is usually categorized as an employee whose debt to income is 80% and above, meaning they earn 10,000 Rand, but their month-end debt is 8,000 Rand. So for that employee, yes, we can make earned wage access available to them, but this employee needs financial rehabilitation. We need to assist this employee and understand, okay, let's get them some financial support, some coaching, and then let's step in and understand how did this employee get themselves into debt. So we've got these financial coaches available on the platform. They are the best in Africa currently. We use the best providers, and it is also very important, confidential. So the organization will never know that employee A or employee B is now speaking to a financial coach. It is completely free and completely confidential because we want to firstly assist these employees that are struggling financially. So the savings, really fantastic, and we're seeing that this has just absolutely been a game changer within our platform. Yes, we now have the ability for employees to access a portion of their income. We have the ability for employees to speak to financial coaches, but now we've also made it possible for employees to save on our platform. So we've partnered with Alan Gray, which is an interest-bearing account. So the employee now will choose, okay, how much of their salary would they like to save each and every single month. They'll send the instruction to get collected. We'll then invest this money on their behalf. And what's great is on the website, on the PayCurve platform, employees will be able to see, okay, I've saved 500 Rand this month. The next month is 1,000 Rand. And this account with Alan Gray, as mentioned, it's interest bearing. We get about on average 7.85%. So really a huge interest rate compared to what you do get at a Capitec savings account or many other savings accounts. So now the ability for employees to save in an interest-bearing account, which is just last year we had on average, we paid out about 25 million rand in savings in December. So we can see this benefit is really just being well utilized. So very happy to see that. So now you're thinking, okay, great, Ronaldo. Earned wage access, it sounds fantastic. You've said it's not a loan. You've said there's no interest, but how much is this actually going to cost? Because it sounds, just like a great benefit. So very important to understand, we've structured our fees the same as an ATM type withdrawal fee. So if I had to ask anyone on the call, who do you bank with? And let's say you might say ABSA, and I say, okay, please go to ABSA ATM, put in your card and withdraw 1,000 Rand. ABSA is going to effectively charge you for that withdrawal. And we've structured our fees exactly the same way. On average, for 1,000 Rand withdrawal, the total fee that employees will be charged for that is 40 Rand. So we charge a per transactional fee. So only when you as an employee withdraw 1,000 Rand do we charge a fee. Now, if you compare that 40 Rand for 1,000 to anything else in the market, you can't. Everything else is credit, firstly. But if you do go to a bank, on average, it's going to be just over 300 Rand. And if you go to a loan shark, it's going to be a minimum of 50% interest. So you can see that earned wage access is really the cheapest possible method for a mid-month liquidity injection for, an emergency or for groceries or for transport. Now, let's all tie this up and put this into perspective a little bit. So let's now take the two current options within this country, which are credit options. So let's say the employee needs 10,000 Rand. The salary is 10,000 Rand and the requirement is 1,000 Rand. The employee goes to a regulated payday loan. It's going to cost them, as mentioned, 75% at Mashonisa. Goes to a bank, it's going to cost just over 300 Rand. We've taken the cheapest credit card in this country, which is a Capitec credit card, which charges a 50 Rand fee every month. Now, regardless if you use your credit card, there's going to be a 50 Rand fee attached to that. Now, that's not taking into account late charges or overdraft or any of those fees. So it's just a set 50 Rand fee. If you look at PayCurve and earned wage access, if the employee needs 1,000 Rand, they're going to be charged 40 Rand. So they're going to come out with the most amount of money at the end of the month comparable to taking on 1,000 Rand anywhere else in the market. And that's where you can see that earned wage access is the cheapest facility available and cheapest benefit available to employees who need money mid-month to actually sustain themselves for an emergency. Okay, so quite a lot of information going into it, just to show you the vast, diverse industries in which we service. We've got business industries, we've got a lot of retail and security. And the reason I show this is not to show you, what a great company we are. It is to show you that earned wage access and this benefit is really universal. It's not just for someone in manufacturing. It's not just for someone in retail. It is a benefit that is so popular because it affects everyone. It can have a net positive effect on many different industries and many different employees and employers within this country. And that is why we've developed this company, because we don't just want to help someone in one sector. We want to help the lawyer. We want to help the person in retail, the person in manufacturing. So that's why this benefit has really just become so popular, because it doesn't discriminate. It really is for everyone. Okay, so a lot of information in a short amount of time. I don't actually know where I lost the ability to you guys to hear me. So I apologize for that. So I did try and speed things up. I'm going to stop sharing here to try and take some questions. Very important to understand that this session we're having today, and the reason for the session, yes, it's a fantastic info share for you to understand also the landscape of pay in this country and the benefit that is being made available. But also we have partnered with Youth at Work. We've currently launched to 3 different cohorts this month. We just launched last week, and we will be rolling out this benefit to the entire Youth at Work, all the employees in the next coming months. So Everyone on the call will hopefully have access to this benefit in the next couple of months. So it's an info session for you as the employee to understand exactly what is this benefit that's coming. But it's also an info session for you as an employee to understand that there is this benefit in the market. So to look out for it and to know that there's this 30-day period, this 30-day payment period is outdated, and hence earned wage access has come into the spotlight. Okay, so any questions from anyone? I know it's quite a big forum. I don't know if the moderator would like to ask some questions, but it really is important that you understand this benefit and that you understand what is the future of pay within this country, which is earned wage access. Okay, I'm going to open this chat. I see there's a lot of questions here.
Thank you so much, Ronaldo, for such an insightful session. So if ever you have a question, you can raise your hand or you can just unmute and ask the question.
Okay, I've got a good question here. Just why are our accounts registered when it says it's blocked? So very important. This benefit has only been made available to those 3 different cohorts that I mentioned. And the rule set that's been chosen by Youth at Work is to increase the submission of your time and attendance, your 100% registration. So what that means is each and every single Friday when you guys need to upload your attendance register, as soon as you've uploaded your attendance register, we will then unblock you that next week. So hence, we haven't received your attendance register yet. We'll receive it tomorrow. And each and every single Monday, those employees that have submitted their attendance register will have access to PayCurve. So very important for you to update that attendance register and make sure that you've uploaded that should you wish to have PayCurve during that week.
We have another question on the chat box, Ronaldo. It's from Jolene. She says, "What does this only apply to employees that may benefit? What about a contractor who has been paid by a company or government institute?"
Okay, so it's a great question. So this benefit, we need to partner with the organizations such as we've partnered with Youth at Work. So only if you are an employee or a youth cohort that's part of Youth at Work that's getting paid by Youth at Work will you have access to the benefit. Okay, I'm trying to go through the chat here. Any other questions from anyone? You guys are going to drop a link. Okay, that's a good one. I will put this link in here. Just remember that we've only launched to those 3 cohorts. So it's the internal company, so the Youth at Work staff. We've launched to Hollard and Atlantis, but I will put the link in there. If you do click this link and you attempt to register and you put in your ID and it says that we couldn't find you, so your identifier could not be found, that means that we have not yet launched to your specific cohort. That will then be launched in the next couple of months, as mentioned to you. So don't worry about it. If you can't register yet, the benefit will still be made available in the next coming months. But I will put this link in here. Let me quickly write it so you do have the ability to register. So does PayCurve have an app? Very important. It's not an app that you have to go to the Play Store. It's a progressive web app, we call it. So it's essentially a website that you go to. The reason we did this is the data costs are a lot less when interacting with the website as opposed to an app. So it looks and feels like an app, but it's not an actual app. Just logged in. Okay, cool. And also very important, if you do have any questions, you can just Google PayCurve support. We have our own call center available that's able to assist you. We also have an online chat bot. So you can speak to an AI bot that deals with the normal frequently asked questions, or you can request a call back and one of my agents will then call you back in any language of your choosing. Very important.
Hi, Ronald. Can I just jump in here?
Yes.
All right. Just to clarify the
Today
one
or
part, Tabiso, can you mute your mic, please? Or Tembelihle, can you mute?
what I'm saying. And about that.
Can you go
Now,
and can you mute them, Tembelihle, Tabiso, and Munale, and then Tabiso? Colleagues, I think those who have tried to apply, if you have a query, please feel free to email us at Youth at Work. We also want to gauge from which cohort you are in. For example, the cohort of Mercedes-Benz and Toyota, which are probably ending in the next weeks, would not be eligible for the pay curve, right? But all those who still have a number of months still in the program will be eligible. So, but that does not stop you from reaching out. And in terms of your cohort, you are funded by whatever funder and you're named and you're interested in pay curve. We also want to do that exercise, like Renat has said, that we would want to extend this to preferable all our youth, except those who are under the funder payroll. So please do indicate, do reach out so that you can see the need of opening these 2 more cohorts. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Yanga. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? But as Yanga mentioned, to obviously gauge appetite and whether this benefit you would feel would benefit you, please feel free then if you do try and register and you're not part of those cohorts that I mentioned, please then email the Youth at Work team so they can also then gauge, yes, there's many different cohorts that would like to have access to this benefit. So as Yanga mentioned, please just reach out to them then.
Hi, Ronaldo.
Yes.
Yes. So this weekend I actually did try and register, but I couldn't.
Sorry, I'm losing you, breaking up.
On the app, on the website, there is a number, like an option where you can ask them to call you back. So there is a gentleman who did call me, and he said it's because the company that I work for is not yet registered. So I think we just have to wait for the next batch.
Yeah, 100%, Mduzi. Unfortunately, yeah, we've just launched to those 3 cohorts, as Yanga mentioned, just to get a feeling of how this benefit will be received also. So if you can also just email, as Yanga mentioned, the Youth at Work team, just say, try to register for PayCurve, would like access to the benefit, but haven't been obviously launched to yet, then obviously they can gauge appetite in the next couple of months. We can then roll it out to the business that you are working at. But yeah, thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it.
100%. Thank you. So
see some great things in the chat. So very happy to hear that, you guys would like to register. So yeah, thank you so much for that. Cool.
Last question, please.
Yeah, no, love it.
So who do we email to?
Yanga, would you like to check in there? I think Yanga might have dropped off. I don't know, your contact is at youth, so I think it might be anyone in the internal team. I don't have a specific
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So I'm the one who, probably not the only one, but I just logged in. I was having issues with the link, and I can tell that a lot has been discussed. Can I briefly get an overview of what PayCurve is, besides what I read on the link, telling me about it, just briefly. What is it and the benefits?
Okay, perfect. I'll give you the quick one. So essentially, PayCurve is a new benefit that's being made available to certain Youth at Work cohorts. We haven't launched it to the entire organization, just 3 different cohorts, Atlantis and Hollard and the internal team. It's a benefit that now you have the ability to access a portion of your salary that you earn each and every single day. So not a salary advance, not a loan, but simply having the ability to access a portion of that money that you earn each and every single day. So should you need money for transport or for groceries or a mid-month emergency, what we're saying is please don't go and borrow that money from the banks or from a loan shark. Actually now make use of your own salary, which is PayCurve. So that's earned wage access. Also then you have the ability to access financial coaches to help you. You have financial education on the platform as well, and then also the ability to save. That was the 1 minute overview.
Thank you for that, Ronaldo. For those who are struggling to log in, please try to access the session via YouTube. We have our YouTube channel where we are going to post this session, so you can catch up later on.
I think this has to.
Awesome. I see someone has their hand up there. I know we've got 3 minutes there. Samukelo, do you have a question?
It's the one that just asked.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Ronaldo, for such a good session. Please remember to complete the register. The link has been posted via chat box. Ensure that before you exit, you have completed the register.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everyone joining. I hope you found it informative. And as Yanga mentioned, if you'd like access to the benefit and you're struggling to register, please feel free to email the Youth at Work team, and then we can hopefully get this launched out to the entire organization soon. Thanks, everyone.
Great presentation. Thank you so much, Ranchas.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to end the session. Bye.
Bye.
You open our cameras and see.
Bye.
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 Kathleen. Kathleen.
Hello.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Siyabonga. Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.